ask Antonio. Antonio, San Francisco. You're from the middle of the country. Were you ever growing up like, yo, I got to get to San Francisco for a week?
I'm from the Midwest, Champaign, Illinois. It's like dead center Illinois.
Yeah.
So I think the first time I had an aunt who lived out here on the West Coast for many, many years. When I was living back then, I was always, I want to go to California, just California. And then it didn't really matter if it was San Francisco or Los Angeles. I just wanted to get to California. So next year will be my 34th year living here. So I've lived here longer than any other place on earth. And the first place that I dropped into was, of course, was Oakland. And I was like, wow, San Francisco. Ooh, man, it was so easy on the eyes that I almost felt like crying because it was just so beautiful, and the skyline and stuff. And I really wanted to live there and, and be a part of that culture. But, back in 1988, back then it was extremely high.
Yeah.
And so at this time, my aunt was living in L.A. She had moved back to Chicago for a little while. Then she moved back out here. She was working for the state, so she ended up in Sacramento. So, while I'm touring around Oakland and San Francisco, she was like, hey, well, part of the plan was, if things don't work out there, drift out to Sacramento and, set up shop there. So since August '88, I've been here. But I've always, I love visiting San Francisco. It's not overrated. It's not underrated. It's just right dab in the middle for me. So I appreciate it. I appreciate all of Northern California. And I've been living here for 34 years, Casey. I love living in Sacramento. It may not be anybody's cup of tea, but it's always been mine because
absolutely.
Actually, just the diversity. That's what really pulled me into this. I just came from a culture. I'm a country boy. I grew up around a lot of cornfields, but growing up, around the campus of the University of Illinois. There were blacks, there were whites, there were Asians, and there was a lot of Puerto Ricans. But when I come out to Sacramento, it's everybody from every corner of the earth. And, it's about 60, 70 different languages. And, I was culture shocked, not knowing that I was culture shocked. I didn't realize that till years later. But, I just seemed to adjust. And everything here is okay with me, from San Jose to Oakland to San Francisco to Sacramento. San Francisco is okay with me, bro.
I agree. San Francisco is not overrated. It's I love going to San Francisco. I do. I love going and like you said, when I was in college in Hayward, I mean, to get out there, and obviously I had seen it a bunch of times before, but to just see next door to where you are, you got a city is beautiful. As San Francisco, it's like, oh man, then you get to like a lot of foggy days, but when you get a clear day, when you see everything, you see the skyline, the Golden Gate in the distance, and the water and everything, it's like, oh, this is picturesque right here. I love San Francisco. I got no
picturesque. I mean, when you talk about that visibility too, when everything's on a clear day, it's almost like heaven to me.
I don't think there's a more picturesque place in the country on a clear day than San Francisco. Like seeing that from the East Bay and seeing everything, it's perfect. It is perfect.
It is perfect. And I live about 100 miles south of Chicago, and I've always been enthralled about that skyline, that area. Milwaukee's only like 90 minutes away from downtown Chicago. Then you have the eastern edge where Indiana starts and stuff. But there's just nothing, geographically that moves me more than, the San Francisco Bay region area too. So it is picturesque. I mean, when you see Chicago, you're really just talking about the skyline. But when you have the skyline here in San Francisco, okay? You have that picturesque, aspect of it. But there's everything else that's surrounding it too, with the Golden Gate bridges, and then the mountainous, and and then the ocean. I mean, there's not much you can see when you're looking at Michigan Lake. There's nothing to see looking at Michigan Lake, but you see all these other things, with Alcatraz, going on, Pacifica, in that area and stuff. It's just beautiful area to be in. I just said again, I don't think it's overrated. I don't think it's underrated. It's just right dab in the middle for me.
Yeah, I can dig it, man. Tony Harvey, man, Sacramento reporting and journalistic legend out here, man. How long have you been covering the Sacramento Kings? Because I know it's not been forever, not like that. I ain't gonna disrespect you.
I'm about to start my 21st year, Kenny.
Oh man, 21 years. So you started 2001. They were just in the middle of
at the tail end. Let's see. It was really weird when I came in because the Kings had did something really crazy, and my intentions was, Nick Anderson was playing for the ball squad at that time. He used to play for Illinois, and I was just really trying to get in here, to cover the Kings and get a hold of him, especially with the Kings on the rise. Doug Christie ended up taking his starting spot anyway, but I think the Kings had drafted Corsley Edwards, I believe that was. He was a second round pick, though.
Corsley Edwards.
I think that's the name.
I ain't never heard of Corsley Edwards.
Well, that's why it was kind of funny at that time, when I'm coming in, I think they had got Gerald Wallace the year before, I believe, when he was coming in. The dude, he came from some really weird school out of Connecticut, Central Connecticut or something like that, I do remember. And he didn't even play for the Kings. I don't even know if they even signed him. I have to go back and look. I don't even know if they signed the guy because he never made the roster.
Mm-hmm.
And next thing I know, I think he was playing in the Continental Basketball Association for. He had went from getting drafted by the Kings in the second round, and played, and I never heard from him again.
Mm.
So that was, my break in. When I was coming in, and I was doing some reporting for someone else, and at that same time, Oscar Robertson. This was actually the 40th year since he had set that record for triple doubles. So it's been over 50 years now. And Russell Westbrook that broke that record hasn't been. Mm-hmm. That was my that was my plunge into covering the Kings at that time, and they had a real good series back in 2001. Then Mike Bibbiat came on, but I look back at that time because I've been through it, Kenny. I've been seeing this mess for the last 16, 17 years, and I was just thinking. Somebody was asking me the other day, where did it begin? I would have to say for me around 2005, because the Kings had finished like 50 and 32 or something like that year, but then they had got rid of Chris. Mm-hmm. Doug was traded to Orlando. Bobby Jackson was having these health issues. He just couldn't stay on the court. He went from 81 games and he went to 60 games. And when he had played 60 games, he won Sixth Man of the Year that 2002-2003 year. Mm-hmm. And that summer, they drafted Francisco Garcia after that season. So they had made the playoffs, but these guys were gone. And I didn't really pay attention that, this thing was unraveling then. Okay, because 2005, later on that summer, you got the Sacramento Monarchs. They win the WNBA championship that September of 2005. But going into that season with the Kings, for the 2006 season. So this is the last time that they made the playoffs.
Yeah.
And may he rest in peace. I think Marty McNeil had wrote a story about Rick Adelman doesn't have a contract going into that season. Mm. So, we really wasn't thinking anything about it and stuff like that. And, the team finished 50 and 32. Okay, he still has another year on his contract. So, he's about to start the next season, 2004 and 2006. And I believe that they ended up 44 and 38. They played San Antonio that April. Kevin Martin, he came alive. That was his breakout year. And that was it. Right. That was it. But I do remember, after that San Antonio series at the old practice facility, Kenny, we were all there, the reporters there, and there's a lot of reporters there at this time. I mean, we're down to probably like 10, 12, 15 regular local media guys that cover the Kings now. And we were in the practice facility waiting on an exit interview, if you want to call it that, for Rick Adelman, because we knew his situation, okay? And it was quite apparent that the Maloofs was not going to give him another contract. So when he comes in there, I'm focusing. I'm 5, 6 years in covering this team. And the first thing that I noticed with Rick Adelman, his lip was trembling. He's walking through there, then he has the other assistant there who used to play at Ole Miss. Oh, boy, he played for Washington a long time ago. He was assistant coach. Matter of fact, he came back under Dave Yeager. But anyway, they come
Turner,
in.
right?
Elston Turner, thank you. Right. Ole Miss great and stuff. He came back with Yeager and stuff. But he's pretty much trailing Adelman when they coming across this floor. And I'm looking at this like, this is not good. This is not good. It's not good. Okay. That was basically it. Adelman was done after 44-38 season. Last time the Kings made the playoffs. A whirlwind of problems started coming up after that, okay? Because, like I said, Francisco Garcia, Quincy Doobie comes in.
Oh, Quincy.
And then, Spencer Hall.
Okay,
he comes in. Jason Thompson, he comes in. And Tyreek Evans. What the interesting thing about Tyreek Evans, though, Tyreek and Omri Caspi came in that year. Yeah. And then after that year, DeMarcus Cousins, then, the Thomas Robinson whole deal, Jimmer Fredette. I've been through it, man.
I know you have.
I've been through it. And I don't care what anybody say. I've been there, for going on for 21 years. It ain't no 5 and 6, 8 years, 13 years old. Antonio Ray Harvey, Tony Harvey. Okay, and it's just cleared it up. And see Antonio Ray Harvey, that's my byline on my story. But personally, Tony Harvey, I've been there. I've seen this mess. Yeah, and it has gotten worse every year. Now, I'm not going to make a prediction on what they're going to do this year.
Well, okay, so let me ask you. I do want to talk about this year. We're gonna talk about this year. I'm Antonio. I'm a put you in a corner. I'm gonna say you gotta tell me something about this year. We're gonna talk about it, but I want to go back to 01, 02, 03, where I know a lot of all the guys that we talked to, we're still kind of young in the game. I remember, we're all in the same age group where, we're watching it as young fans. We're high school students, college students. You were covering these guys. You were day to day, with Vlade, Chris, Mike Bibby, Jay Will, all these guys. You were day to day with them. What was it like covering that group on a daily basis? Were they all cool with the media? Were they, kind of moody? Like, was it a great? It seemed like a great time. Like, it seemed like everybody's really open.
You heard of the golden era of Hollywood, right? That that 1920s, 30, 40, 50. When they were just churning out just great movies all the time. Because, we didn't have social media networks and nothing like that, or any streaming service, the Netflix and things like that. This was just something really special at that time. And I think it was going on, I went to a couple games. I wasn't covering them from like 99 to 2003, 2004. Okay. That was a really precious time to be covering the Kings. And these guys, every one of them, up and down the line, were great with the local media and the national media. Okay, they were loving what they were doing, and you can see it in their work. It wasn't all fluff or nothing like that. That synergy that they had that was going on between them and stuff. And Vlade was the leader. Vlade was definitely the leader in that locker room. Okay, and I have not seen that type of leadership since Vlade has left. To be quite honest, so we're talking about over 20 years, and I know. And between him and Doug Christie and in regards to Bobby Jackson, that's something that they want to come back and do. Right. They did come back and do, but it's just not happening. But I can tell you, I mean, with Chris, everything was just clicking, everything. And I'm telling you, in that old Arco Arena too, that they just demolished or still demolishing right now, you couldn't even fit up in that media room. You know how when we go in there, we eat before the game, and then you have a little coaches conference, hour 15, hour 45 minutes before for the games. You couldn't even fit up in that area, man. It was full every game. It was packed.
Yeah.
It was packed with reporters across the board. Print, radio, television. It was packed.
Mm.
And not to say that I was starstruck or anything like that, because I'm around this time. I'm getting to see people like Gary Gerald, who I call Mr. Indestructible.
Yeah.
Okay, and
The legend.
Henry,
Yeah.
right, and Henry Turner, because he used to play in the middle '80s. He played here for about 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
I think he got signed on as a free agent with Atlanta. Then he left, but he came back. So I'm getting to see him because I've seen him play, with Mitch Richmond and all these, But hey, I mean, between the players and the organization, I would hope that they would get back to that. But this is 2000, so that's not going to happen. But it was an amazing time at that time. I really enjoyed, coming in at the time when it was a winning organization.
Right.
Now, I'm pretty much have been, through these years of futility. But right now, I look at it as a starting point. I don't know what these guys want to do this season, but it looks like they're really headed. They got one foot in the right direction.
Yeah.
Because those early years, was it about a string of 8 years that they were, made the playoffs? Those days are not coming back. We have to understand that. We can live on it. We can hang our hats on it. But right now, what they're trying to do and what Monty has constructed, get us man another contract, please. Another contract.
I hear you on that.
They're headed in the right direction.
Yeah. Tony Harvey here, Sacramento journalistic legend, man. He's been around for 21 years, he said, but it just seems like I don't know a time when Antonio wasn't around, man. So always good to talk with him right now. I got to ask you, let's talk about this year's team, man. And okay. I know that, I understand that there's apprehension there, but I look at this squad and I look what Monty McNair's done in this offseason, and I know it'd be crazy for somebody to say, oh, they're guaranteed to do this and that. Team ain't won nothing in 16 years. So who would anybody be to say, they're guaranteed to get there? But I got to tell you, Tone, I like what this roster is. I like what they could be. I like the additions. You see a guy like Keegan Murray as well. I don't know, man. I'm feeling them right now. How are you feeling about this Kings team coming into this season?
I'm really, because every year we go through these things, I'll make these funky predictions, and they start off okay. Then later on, like the 20th game, the wheels start falling off and stuff. So I'm really, really, really trying to be reserved in all the things that are happening right now. Okay. I was definitely one of the ones after they got the number one pick. I tweeted it right away. Keegan Murray, to me, was the BPA / fit. A lot of people didn't see it that way. I understand that. Everybody had to have their opinions. Mm-hmm. But I have Big Ten on speed dial, on stream dial, if you want to call it like that. Yeah, so I've seen a lot of these games in the last couple of years to see, I even liked it when he was coming off the bench, what he was doing. Because all he was doing was playing defense and getting rebounds. Yeah. That's all they ever asked for him and stuff. So, and then, he makes this huge humongous jump, okay? In the Big Ten, it was no easy, these guys beat up on each other, Kenny, night in and night out. Yeah. Okay? And then, by the time they get to the tournament, they're going to beat the hell out of each other so much that, a lot of these Big Ten teams fail when they get, to the Big Dance. Mm-hmm. Okay. But this kid, I'm watching this kid, how he start off the season and how he finished off was just absolutely perfect. Mm-hmm. So I like Jaden Ivey too. Okay. And I like Shaden Sharp. Matter of fact, I wanted Keegan at a distance. I wanted Shaden Sharp. Okay. Mm-hmm. But I did not want Jaden, but I understand that he will be he will have longevity in the NBA. He's going to be something special. He is going to be that. Yeah. But looking at what the Kings, it's like, you guys, I don't deserve no extravagance or no luxury or stuff like that. You need to take this cat, okay? and for your, he can shoot from the outside, okay? He's a good rebounder, okay? He's a good defender. He didn't show a lot of it in summer league games, but he'll go up and he'll block those shots.
Right.
Okay, he can do a lot of things. You need this guy. That's why I say BPA/fit. Okay, the golden rule is to take the best player available.
Yeah.
But this cat here sitting here, what you need to do, and you really need to put together some victories. I mean, a string of victories. I don't think it would be a bad thing to pick this guy. Because when we were sitting in that the new training facility next to Golden One Center, the Kaiser Permanente training facility, you couldn't hear a pin drop. Amongst the local media, I'm like 3 or 4 guys up in there, who really appreciated, them picking Keenan, but everybody else, man, I'm telling you,
look,
they fell into
Tone,
the mud.
look, Tone, he proved everybody wrong this summer, man, with the way he played, and we hope that it could go into the following season. Hey, Tone, man, I got to have you on again at some point, man. We got to do this. You're my mentor. I appreciate everything that you've done for me since I was a high schooler, getting me into this game. Thank you, man. And we got to make it happen again, man, for sure, man. I appreciate you tapping in.
Love having this talk, man. Anytime I can come back and, and add a little, vision, or not actually add a little, this and that to your conversation. Love it, bro. I love what you're doing too, Kenny. Keep doing what you're doing, man.
Thank you, bro. Thank you, man. Tony Harvey, man, here on D-Lo and KC.